Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a simple question. What's been occupying your mind lately? Here's a crucial truth. You become what you consistently think about. Not occasionally, not sometimes, but every single day. If your thoughts are filled with fear, doubt, and worry, your life starts to mirror that. If your mind is focused on growth, gratitude, and goals, that too becomes your reality. Your mind functions as a factory, and your thoughts are the blueprint. It builds based on what you feed it. What you dwell on, it creates. You attract what you believe you will become. This isn't just motivational talk. This is a law of life. And here's the key. It operates whether you're conscious of it or not. So if you're not satisfied with where your life is heading, perhaps it's time to examine what's been running on repeat in your mind. Because here's the thing, you can't plant weeds in the garden of your mind and expect to see roses grow. This idea changed everything for me. It made me more intentional, focused, and empowered. And I want to share that with you. Stick with me, and over the next few minutes, we'll break it down step by step, thought by thought. By the end, you'll understand how your thinking has been shaping your life and how you can regain control. Let's dive in. Thoughts are like seeds, and you're always planting. Here's a simple concept that's anything but insignificant. Your thoughts are seeds. The moment you think them, you've already planted something. Now, the real question is, what kind of harvest do you want to reap? Life doesn't simply respond to your wishes. It responds to your mindset, your internal dialogue, and the way you think. The soil of life is always fertile. It doesn't care whether you plant good seeds or bad seeds. It will return to you what you've planted, and it will multiply. Just like the earth doesn't argue with a farmer's seeds, life doesn't challenge your thoughts. It quietly and relentlessly goes to work, producing the harvest you've planted, whether that's what you intended or not. Let's visualize this. Think of your mind as a garden. Every day you wake up with a bag full of seeds. Some seeds are powerful: hope, courage, gratitude, and ambition. But others are destructive: fear, self-doubt, anger, and procrastination. The catch is, you plant them all, every single one, through your thoughts, focus, and attention. And over time, what you plant becomes your mindset. Your mindset shapes your decisions lead to actions, your actions produce results. So if you're not happy with your current harvest, don't blame the weather, don't blame the soil. Take a moment to consider the seeds you've been planting. Here's an important truth. Most people plant by default, not by design. They wake up, check their phones, absorb the news, listen to gossip, and by lunchtime, they're already feeling anxious or lost. This isn't life happening to you. This is your garden reflecting exactly what was planted. So what's the solution? Start thinking with purpose. You need to be intentional about the seeds you plant in your mind. Instead of thinking, I can't, replace it with, I can improve. Instead of, what if I fail? Think, what if I learn something that changes everything? Instead of, this always happens to me, say, this time I'll respond differently. Hey, here's the magic. And yes, it's real magic. One small positive thought, planted and nurtured with repetition, can completely transform your life. Imagine this, just one idea, believed in, spoken aloud, and acted upon, can set off a chain reaction, a new habit, a new result, a new chapter. But you need to be honest with yourself. What kinds of seeds have you been planting? Every complaint is a seed. Every excuse is a seed. Every time you say it's too late or I'm not good enough, that's a seed. But so is every word of encouragement, every decision to try again, every act of discipline, and every vision of a better life you hold in your mind. Those are seeds too. So what's your garden going to look like a year from now, 10 years from now? The good news is you don't have to wait to find out. You just need to look at what you're planting today. Here's a simple yet powerful step. Start a thought journal. Each morning, write down the dominant thought running through your mind. Is it hopeful, negative, empowering, draining? Track your seeds, because what gets tracked gets changed, and what gets changed can grow into something remarkable. Let me leave you with this. You don't have to be a genius to change your life. You just need to become a better gardener. Choose your seeds wisely, nurture them daily, protect them from the weeds, and the harvest will take care of itself. Remember, you're always planting. The only question is, are you planting what you actually want to grow? The mind is a garden, and you must guard it fiercely. Let me tell you something that has changed more lives than any motivational slogan ever could. Your mind is a garden, and every single day, something is trying to grow in it. Something is trying to take root. Here's the deal. If you don't take charge of what grows there, anything, yes, anything, will start to grow. Let me ask you this. Have you ever walked past a garden overtaken by weeds? What happened there? Did someone plant those weeds on purpose? No. Weeds show up due to neglect. They grow because someone said, I'll tend to it tomorrow. The same thing happens in the mind. If you don't guard it, protect it, and nourish it, soon you're not thinking your own thoughts anymore. You're just reacting to everyone else's. And that's dangerous because the world is not neutral. There are voices, negative voices, that whisper or even shout all day long, telling you you're not enough, that it's too late, that you'll never change. If you're not careful, those voices will take root. They'll grow tall, strong, and soon they'll block the sunlight of your potential. You've got to be the gatekeeper of your mind. You decide who enters and who is escorted out. You control what comes through your eyes, your ears, and your inner dialogue. I'm not saying you should build walls so high that no new ideas can get in, but be careful. You want to be open-minded, but not so open that weeds can blow in with the breeze. It's not just about protecting your mind, it's about curating it, feeding it, strengthening it. You need to feed it with ideas that challenge you, stories that inspire you, and thoughts that lift you. Because here's what I've learned. A strong mind leads to a strong life, a guarded mind leads to a guided life, and a clear mind leads to a creative life. Now, let me give you some practical advice. If you're going to guard your mind, you need to build a few habits. First, control the first hour of your day. The first hour sets the tone for the rest of the day. If you fill it with junk news, social media, and comparison, you've already let the weeds in. Instead, start your day with intention. Read, reflect, write, visualize, plant something good. Second, audit your input. Ask yourself, is this helping me grow or holding me back? That TV show, that podcast, that conversation, what's it doing to your garden? If it's toxic, turn it off. If it's dull, cut it out. Be ruthless because your future is at stake. Third, choose your circle carefully. People are carriers. They carry energy, ideas, and influence. If you surround yourself with complainers, you'll start planting more complaints. Surround yourself with growers, thinkers, and doers, and your garden will thrive. Fourth, practice mental hygiene. Just like you brush your teeth and shower, your mind needs daily cleansing. Journaling clears out the clutter. Silence renews your focus. Gratitude resets your perspective. Even a beautiful garden can become wild if ignored. Here's what's remarkable. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to start pulling the weeds and planting better seeds day by day, thought by thought. Let me tell you what happens when you guard your garden. You begin to think more clearly, make better decisions, attract better people, and create a life that reflects purpose, not just noise. That's the power of a well-tended mind. So let me ask you, what's growing in your garden? Be honest, because honesty is the beginning of progress. Then make the decision today to guard your mind with everything you've got, because your mind is the starting point for every achievement, every breakthrough, every transformation. Guard your mind and the rest of life will follow. What you think about, you move toward. Let me share a principle that has shaped the lives of successful people for generations. You move toward what you think about. Not what you wish for, not what you daydream about, but what you think about constantly, consistently with emotional involvement. What you dwell on, you eventually walk toward. The mind, my friend, is like a compass. Whatever you point it at long enough is where you'll end up, even if you don't realize it. Imagine someone who spends their days thinking, I'm always tired, I can't catch a break, nothing works for me. Guess what? Their actions match that story. They move slower, try less, and expect failure. Eventually they find it. Now imagine someone who wakes up thinking, I'm improving, I'm learning, I'm building something meaningful. You'll see it in their posture, hear it in their voice, and feel it in their momentum. Why? because they're moving in the direction of their dominant thoughts. Your mind is always giving orders to your behavior, and your behavior drives your results. But here's the catch. Your thoughts don't have to be true to influence your direction. They just have to be repeated. If you tell yourself, I'm not ready, or I'm not good enough, or I'll start next year, guess what? Your body listens, your habits follow, and your life starts to shrink. You've got to interrupt that pattern. Point the compass somewhere worth going. Here's a real life example. A young man came to me after a seminar. He said, I want to be successful, but I feel stuck. I don't know what to do. I asked him, what do you think about most during the day? He replied, honestly, I think about how I'm failing, how far behind I am. I told him, that's your problem. You're trying to go north, but your mind is pointed south. You can't get where you want to go by thinking about where you don't want to be. You need to start thinking about what you want, not just what you fear. See the future in your mind before you ever hold it in your hands, because the mind leads and life follows. Here's a simple habit you can build today: mental targeting. Every morning, take 5 minutes, just 5, and clearly think about where you want to go. Not vaguely, not someday, but specifically. The health you want, the income you desire, the character you want to embody, the relationships you want to build. Hold those images in your mind, feel them, speak them, write them down. When your mind sees something often enough, it starts to believe it's possible. And when belief shows up, action follows closely behind. That's how success begins, not with luck or genius, but with focus. What you think about, you begin to notice. What you notice, you begin to pursue, and what you pursue, you begin to experience. So what's your mind fixed on? Be honest. Are you thinking about problems or possibilities? Worry or opportunity? Who you used to be or who you're becoming? Your thoughts today are the preview of your life tomorrow. Every person you admire, every achiever, every leader, every builder, they all had to point their mind in the right direction before they ever moved. And so do you. You don't drift to excellence, you think your way into it and then you move. So decide right now, where do you want to go? And more importantly, what are you willing to start thinking about to get there? Because what you think about, you will move toward, and the journey begins the moment you take back the steering wheel of your mind. Your life follows your philosophy. Let me tell you something that's easy to overlook, but absolutely essential to understand if you want to change your life. Your life doesn't follow your hopes. It doesn't follow your good intentions. It doesn't even follow your goals if they're just written on a sheet of paper. Your life follows your philosophy. Now, what do I mean by that? Your philosophy is simply what you believe about life, about success, about failure, about people, about yourself. It's the set of ideas you've accepted as true. It's the way you see the world, and it shapes every decision, every habit, every result. Your philosophy is your internal compass, and whether you know it or not, it's been pointing you in a direction for years. Here's what's important. You don't get what you want. You get what your philosophy allows. You can want wealth, but if your philosophy is that money's the root of all evil, you'll sabotage yourself every time an opportunity shows up. You can want love, but if your philosophy is that everyone leaves, you'll push people away without even realizing it. You can want success, but if your philosophy says people like me never make it, then guess what? You'll prove yourself right. That's the power of a hidden philosophy. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if your life isn't what you want it to be right now, you don't need to look out, you need to look within. You've got to examine the ideas you've been building your life around. And that's not always easy, because many of those beliefs were inherited from parents, from school, from culture, from past pain. You didn't choose them, but they're still running the show now. The good news is this: you can change your philosophy. That's the beautiful part about being human. You're not a tree, you can move, you can grow, you can upgrade your thinking, but you have to do it on purpose. Let me give you some practical steps to begin. First, identify the results you're getting. The results don't lie. They're always the loudest messenger of your current philosophy. If your finances are a mess, there's a philosophy behind that. If your health is declining, there's a philosophy driving that too. If your relationships keep falling apart, same thing. Results reveal beliefs. So start there. Second, ask, what must I believe to keep creating this? This is a powerful question. It cuts through the noise and gets right to the root. You'll uncover beliefs like, I'm not worth it, hard work never pays off, or people can't be trusted. And once you see it, you can change it. Third, replace weak beliefs with empowering truths. Here's the rule. Don't just remove a bad philosophy, replace it with a better one. I'm not worth it becomes I'm valuable, and growth is my responsibility. Success is for other people becomes success is earned and I'm willing to earn it. Write your new philosophy down, say it daily, and live it consistently. Fourth, build a philosophy that serves your future. Ask yourself this: if I keep thinking the way I'm thinking now, will it take me to the life I want? If not, don't wait for life to get better. Make your philosophy better, because that's where the real change begins. Let me tell you what happens when you upgrade your philosophy. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop blaming and start building. You stop drifting and start designing. You become the architect of your future because your mind is finally working for you, not against you. But remember, your philosophy doesn't change overnight. It changes by decision, then repetition, then reinforcement through action. You've got to review it often, refine it, and sharpen it, because the moment your philosophy starts to change, so does everything else. Let me leave you with this. If you want to change your income, change your philosophy about money. If you want to change your health, change your philosophy about discipline. If you want to change your relationships, change your philosophy about people. And if you want to change your life, start with the thoughts you allow to live in your head and the beliefs you allow to govern your days. Because your life will never go further than your philosophy allows. So upgrade it, guard it, live by it, and watch the world respond. You can't live a positive life with a negative mind. Let me give it to you straight. You can't live a positive life with a negative mind. It just won't happen. Trying to do that is like trying to plant flowers in poison. You can hope, you can pray, you can water the soil every morning, but nothing grows when the roots are rotten. You see, your mindset sets the tone for your entire life, not your background, not your education, not your circumstances, your mind. Now, here's what I've learned after years of speaking with people from all walks of life. Most people don't even realize how negative their thinking has become. They don't notice how many times a day they say things like, "This always happens to me. Just my luck. Nothing ever works out. I knew I'd mess it up," or "I don't think I can." These aren't just passing words. They are reflections of a deeply rooted mindset. And over time, those thoughts become habits, those habits become identity, and that identity becomes a life that never rises above average. But here's the good news. The mind can change. And when your mind changes, your life starts to follow. Let me show you how negativity shows up in your words. You speak doubt, not confidence. In your body language, you slouch, you sigh, you hesitate. In your habits, you procrastinate, you give up early, you sabotage your momentum. In your relationships, you expect the worst, you assume the worst, you attract the worst. And all of it starts with your thinking. You can't talk failure and expect success. You can't dwell on limitations and walk into freedom. You can't replay rejection in your mind and expect to feel confident when opportunity knocks. It doesn't work like that. Now listen, I'm not saying life is always sunshine and roses. We all go through tough seasons. We all face rejection, pain, betrayal, and setbacks. But the difference between a negative mind and a strong mind is simple. A negative mind stays there. A strong mind acknowledges the pain, then chooses a better perspective. Because your mind doesn't just reflect your life, it creates it. You've got to take responsibility for your atmosphere. Here's a powerful exercise. Try this. Starting today, create a mindset filter. Every time a negative thought shows up, stop and ask, is this useful? Is it true? Is it helping me grow? If the answer is no, replace it. Don't fight the negative thought, overwrite it. You don't have to wrestle with the dark if you just turn on the light. Let me give you a few replacements for common negative thoughts. Instead of "I'll never figure this out," say, "Every expert was once a beginner." Instead of "I'm so behind," say, "I'm right on time for my journey." Instead of "I always fail," say, "Every failure has something to teach me." Instead of "I'm not good enough," say, "I'm learning, I'm growing, and I'm not done yet." You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be intentional. And here's another tip, protect your input. You can't expect a positive mind free while feeding it hours of fear, gossip, and outrage. Every day, the mind absorbs what you give it. So give it something strong, something clean, something that builds rather than breaks. Books, podcasts, sermons, positive conversations, quiet time, gratitude, journals. That's how you clean out the negativity and keep it out. Let me leave you with this. You don't attract the life you want. You attract the life that matches your mindset. So if you want a life of peace, purpose, and power, you've got to build the kind of mind that believes in it, that expects it, that creates it. Your future depends on it because you can't live a positive life with a negative mind. The power of repetition. Think it until you believe it. Let me tell you something I've shared with audiences for decades, and it's as true today as it was the first time I said it. Repetition is the mother of skill. It's the mother of skill. It's the mother of belief. It's the tool for rewiring your mind. It's how thoughts turn into convictions, and convictions turn into action. You want to know how people become confident? They rehearse the right thoughts over and over until doubt gets drowned out by certainty. You want to know how someone goes from broke to wealthy, from timid to bold, from stuck to successful? They don't just try success once. They think it, speak it, visualize it, repeat it until their entire being aligns with it. Let me be clear. One positive thought isn't enough. It's like doing one push-up and expecting a six-pack. If you want to believe something deeply, if you want to become something new, you've got to feed that thought to your mind every single day. Now, repetition works in both directions. It can build you up or break you down. Negative thoughts, repeated, become negative beliefs, and negative beliefs will guide your decisions and shape your identity. Let me give you an example. A child hears, "You're not good enough," over and over. And guess what happens? They believe it. They start to act on it. They stop trying, stop stretching, stop dreaming. Not because they're not capable, but because repetition convinced them they weren't. The same principle applies in the opposite direction. Speak courage over yourself long enough, and it begins to take root. Repeat discipline often, and it becomes second nature. Affirm your vision every day, and soon the world will start responding. Your mind is always listening, even when you're unaware of it. So the real question is, what message have you been repeating to yourself? I'm too late. I'll never catch up. I'm not like them. Or perhaps, I'm growing every day. I'm willing to learn. I can create something meaningful. My past doesn't define my future. One set of beliefs will guide you toward your purpose, while the other keeps you stuck in the same cycle. Here's a practical tool I recommend often, the repetition ritual. Every morning, before the chaos of the day sets in, speak 5 truths out loud. Not empty hype, not vague motivation, real, grounded, specific truths about who you are becoming. Write them on your mirror, record them on your phone, set a reminder, whatever works. Just make sure you're deliberately feeding your mind something powerful, because your mind doesn't care whether what you say is positive or negative. It simply absorbs what it hears most. So you need to outshout the doubt. You have to outthink the fear. You must out-permit the old story you've been telling yourself. Let me remind you, you don't need to feel it before you say it. That's the key. You don't speak what's already true. You speak what you want to become true. The repetition leads to belief, not the other way around. If you repeat something enough, you'll start to believe it. Once you believe it, you'll act on it. Once you act on it, you'll prove it. And once you prove it, no one can take that from you. That's where transformation starts. Here's a challenge for you. What is one truth you want to believe but still struggle with? Is it that you're worthy of success, that you can reinvent yourself, that you have what it takes? Whatever it is, turn it into a declaration. Repeat it daily. Let it take root and water it with action. Because belief isn't something you wait for, it's something you build. One thought at a time, one repetition at a time, one decision at a time. And remember, repetition doesn't just change your mind, it changes your life. So speak it, write it, think it, until you believe it. Once you believe it, everything changes. Thoughts shape habits, and habits build identity. Here's a powerful principle most people miss. The way you think shapes the way you live. that might seem simple, but don't be fooled. It's one of the most profound truths you'll ever learn. Here's the process. First, you think a thought. That thought leads to a decision. When repeated, that decision becomes a habit, and your habits become who you are. Thought, habit, identity. That's the formula. Once you grasp this, you'll stop asking, why do I keep doing this? And start asking, what thought is driving this behavior? Habits don't come out of nowhere. They grow from repeated thoughts that have been reinforced and accepted as truth. Let's break it down. Imagine someone who constantly thinks, I'm disorganized, I can't focus, I'm not disciplined. What happens? They begin acting in alignment with that belief. They stop trying to stay organized, they quit on routines, and soon enough, those thoughts manifest into habits. Now let's flip that. Imagine someone starts telling themselves, I'm learning to be focused. I'm a person who follows through. I value structure because my goals deserve it. These thoughts begin shaping new behaviors. They try a new morning routine. They wake up earlier, make the bed, drink water, read books. Slowly, these habits stack up and form a new identity. Here's the truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits. And your habits follow your thinking. I've taught this rule for years. You can't outperform your self-impeach for long. If you see yourself as lazy, you'll find a way to prove it. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you'll keep breaking promises. The good news is, if you start thinking differently, you'll start acting differently. That's the power of identity. It's built from the ground up. Let me ask you, what habits are you living with today that stem from a thought you no longer believe? Perhaps the thought that you'll never get healthy, or that you're not good with money, or that your relationships always fail. Those thoughts may have been planted years ago, but if the habit is still there, it's still shaping your life. So what do? You start the replacement process. Here's how. Step 1, identify the thought behind the habit. Ask yourself, what belief is at the core of this behavior? Step 2, name the habit it created. Maybe it's procrastination, isolation, overeating, overspending, or overreacting. Step 3, choose a new thought and attach it to a new habit. For example, I keep promises to myself. I do hard things because I'm building something meaningful. I follow through because my future is worth it. Step 4, rehearse the new identity until it feels real. Say it, write it, visualize it, and take one small action each day that proves it's true. Here's what happens. Every time you act in alignment with a better thought, you cast a vote for a new identity. And let me tell you something else. You don't have to believe it fully at first. You just have to believe it enough to take action. And action is what drives change. You're not stuck with your current habits. You're not trapped in an identity you didn't choose. You're just one new thought away from a new habit, and one new habit away from becoming someone new. Let me leave you with this. Don't just change your behavior, change the thought behind it. When you change your thinking, you build new habits. When you build new habits, you change who you are. And when your identity changes, your whole life rises to match it. So start thinking like the person you want to become. Start doing what that version of you would do. And soon you'll realize you've become that person. Now let's talk about association. Your associations magnify your thoughts. They strengthen them, reinforce them, and make them more difficult to ignore. Who you spend time with determines what you start to believe. And what you believe shapes what you do, and what you do becomes your life. We're all influenced by the people around us. Every conversation, every environment, every relationship is either fueling your dreams or draining them. So here's the question. Who is influencing your thinking? If thoughts are seeds, then the people around you are the water, the sun, or the weeds. Some people plant vision, faith, and discipline. They challenge your excuses, push you to aim higher. After spending time with them, you feel clearer, stronger, and more confident in your potential. Others, without realizing it, spread fear, doubt, and mediocrity. They make it seem normal to stay small. Here's the key. Thoughts don't grow in isolation. They grow in community. That's why your circle matters more than you think. You can work on your mindset all day, but if you're surrounded by people who focus on defeat, drama, and delay, you'll find it hard to thrive. I've learned this. You become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So take inventory. Who challenges your thinking? Who speaks life into your goals? Who encourages better habits and lives them out? Those are the voices you need to hear more from. What about the complainers, the excuse makers, and the it's not worth trying crowd? You don't have to cut them off, but limit their influence. Why? Because exposure creates belief, and belief drives behavior. Here's a rule to live by. Environment is stronger than willpower. If you're in a room where no one else is growing, your fire will fade. But put yourself in a room full of driven, focused people and watch how your thinking stretches. You'll pick up better language, learn new strategies, and expect more from yourself. That's the power of association. And it's not just about people, it's about what you consume. The podcasts, books, videos, and conversations you engage with daily all carry influence. So ask yourself, are you feeding your mind with things that elevate your thinking, or are you overdosing on noise and nonsense? Be intentional. You're not just choosing friends, you're choosing your future mindset. Remember, you don't grow in the wrong crowd. You don't think big when you're surrounded by small talk. Speak courage over yourself long enough, and courage starts to take root. Repeat discipline long enough, and it becomes part of your nature. Affirm your vision daily, and soon the world begins to respond. Your mind is listening even when you don't realize it. So the question becomes, what message have you been repeating to yourself? I'm too late, I'll never catch up, I'm not like them. Or perhaps, I'm growing every day, I'm willing to learn, I can build something meaningful, my past does not define my future. One of these sets will lead you to purpose, the other will keep you circling the same mountain. A practical tool I teach all the time is the repetition ritual. Every morning, before the chaos of the day begins, speak 5 truths out loud, specific truths about who you are becoming. Write them on your mirror, record them on your phone, set a reminder. If necessary, ensure you're feeding your mind something powerful on purpose. The mind doesn't care if what you say is good or bad. It just absorbs what it hears most. So you have to outshout the doubt. You have to outthink the fear. You have to out-repeat the story you've believed for too long. Let me remind you, you don't need to feel it before you say it. That's the trick. You don't speak what's already true. You speak what you want to become true, because repetition leads to belief, not the other way around. If you say something long enough, you'll begin to believe it. And once you believe it, you'll act on it. And once you act on it, you'll prove it. And once you prove it, no one can take it from you. That's how transformation begins. Let me close this chapter with a challenge. What one truth do you want to believe but still struggle with? Is it that you're worthy of success? That you can reinvent yourself? That you have what it takes? Whatever it is, turn it into a declaration, repeat it daily, let it grow roots, water it with action. Because belief is not something you wait for, belief is something you build. One thought at a time, one repetition at a time, one decision at a time. And remember, repetition doesn't just change your mind, it changes your life. So speak it, write it, think it until you believe it. And once you believe it, everything changes. Thoughts shape habits, and habits build identity. Let me tell you something that most people never connect. The way you think becomes the way you live now. That might sound simple, but don't let its simplicity fool you. It's one of the most powerful truths you'll ever learn. First, you think a thought, that thought becomes a decision, that decision repeated becomes a habit, and your habits become who you are. Thought, habit, identity. That's the formula. And once you understand it, you'll stop asking, why do I keep doing this? And start asking, what thought is behind this behavior? Habits don't come out of nowhere. They grow from the seeds of thought. Thoughts that have been repeated, reinforced, and accepted as truth. Let's break it down. Imagine someone who constantly thinks, I'm just not disciplined. You know what happens? They begin acting in a way that aligns with that script. They stop trying to be organized. They quit early on routines, and soon the habit becomes real. But it started with the thought. Now let's reverse it. Someone starts telling themselves, I'm learning to be focused. I'm a person who follows through. I value structure because my goals deserve it. Those thoughts begin to shape new behaviors. They try a new morning routine. They start showing up earlier. They make the bed. They drink the water. They read the book. And guess what? Those small habits begin to stack up, and that stack becomes a new identity. Because here's the truth. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your habits, and your habits follow your thinking. Let me give you a rule I've taught for years. You can't outperform your self-image for long. If you see yourself as lazy, you'll find a way to prove it. If you see yourself as inconsistent, you'll keep breaking your promises. But the good news is if you begin to think differently, you'll start to act differently. That's the power of identity, and it's built from the ground up. Let me ask you a question. What habits are you living with today that were born out of a thought you no longer believe? The thought that you'll never get healthy, that you're just not good with money, that your relationships always fall apart, or that you'll never finish what you start? Those thoughts may have been planted years ago, but if the habit is still there, it's still shaping your life. So what do? You start the replacement process. Here's how. Step 1, catch the thought behind the habit. Ask yourself, what am I believing right before I give up, before I avoid, before I scroll, snooze, or stress? Step 2, name the habit it created. Maybe it's procrastination, maybe it's isolation, overeating, overspending, or overreacting. Step 3, choose a new thought and attach it to a new habit. I'm someone who keeps promises to myself. I do hard things daily because I'm building something. I follow through because my future is worth it. Step 4, rehearse the identity until it feels real. Say it, write it, visualize it, and take one small action a day that proves it's true. Because here's what happens. Each time you act in alignment with a better thought, you're casting a vote for a new identity. Let me tell you something else. You don't have to believe it fully at the beginning. You just have to believe it enough to take action. And action is what starts the change. You're not stuck with the habits you've got. You're not trapped in an identity you didn't consciously choose. You are one new thought away from a new habit and one new habit away from becoming someone new. Let me leave you with this. Don't just change your behavior. Change the thought that led to it. Because when you change your thinking, you build new habits. And when you build new habits, you change who you are. And when your identity changes, your whole life rises to match it. So start thinking like the person you want to become. Start doing what that version of you would do. And soon you'll wake up one day and realize you become that person. Association magnifies thought. Let me share a principle with you that could change your direction almost overnight. Your associations magnify your thoughts. They amplify them. They reinforce them. They make them louder, stronger, and harder to ignore. That's right. Who you spend time with determines what you start to believe. And what you believe shapes what you do, and what you do becomes your life. You see, we're all influenced. We can pretend we're not, but we are. Every conversation, every environment, every relationship is either feeding you forward or pulling you back. It's either pushing you forward or pulling you back. So the question becomes, who's speaking into your thinking? Because if thoughts are seeds, then the people around you are the water, the sun, or the weeds. Let's be honest, some people walk into your life and plant vision, faith, discipline. They challenge your excuses. They push you to aim higher. You leave their presence thinking clearer, standing taller, believing stronger. And then there are others, some people, without even knowing it, infect your thinking with fear. They feed your doubt. They normalize mediocrity. They make it seem smart to stay small. But here's what I want you to understand. Thoughts don't grow in isolation. They grow in community. That's why your circle matters more than you think. You can spend all day working on your mindset. But if you're surrounded by people who constantly talk defeat, drama, and delay, you're planting. Now, I'm not saying you need to cut people off cold, but you do need to become intentional about who gets access to your attention, your time, and your energy. You see, I learned a long time ago, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So take inventory. Who challenges your thinking? Who speaks life into your goals? Who encourages better habits and lives them out themselves? Who believes in your potential even when you forget it? Those are the voices you need more of. And what about the others? The complainers, the excuse makers, the blamers, the it's not worth trying crowd. You don't have to hate them. You just have to limit their influence. Why? Because exposure creates belief and belief creates behavior. So if you keep exposing yourself to small thinking, don't be surprised when you start playing small yourself. Here's a rule you can write down. Environment is stronger than willpower. You might have big goals, but if you're in a room where no one else is growing, it's only a matter of time before your fire fades. But put yourself in a room full of driven, focused, growing people and watch how your own thinking starts to stretch. You'll pick up better language, you'll learn new strategies, and you'll expect more from yourself just by being around people who expect more from life. That's the power of association. Now, here's something else. Association is not just about people, it's also about what you consume, what you read, what you listen to, what you scroll through every day, podcasts, books, videos, conversations. They all carry influence. So ask yourself, are you feeding your mind anything that elevates your thinking, or are you overdosing on noise and nonsense? Be selective, not arrogant, not isolated, just intentional, because you are not just choosing friends, you are choosing your future mindset. Let me leave you with this. You don't grow in the wrong crowd. You don't think big when you're surrounded by small talk. Your mind simply responds to what you feed it. That's why you can't leave your mindset to chance. You can't let your environment decide your focus, nor can you let the opinions of others write your story. You've got to take ownership. You've got to choose your thoughts the way a builder chooses bricks, with intention, purpose, and vision. Every thought you accept without question becomes a belief. Every belief you repeat becomes your identity. Every habit you live becomes your identity. And that identity becomes the foundation of your future. So let me ask you, what kind of future is your mind building right now? Is it a future shaped by fear, doubt, and limitation? Or is it a future built on purpose, discipline, and growth? Because one of those futures is built by default and the other is built by design. It's your choice. You've learned a lot in this series. You've learned that your thoughts are seeds and you're always planting. Your mind is a garden that needs guarding. What you think about, you move toward. Your philosophy is the compass for your life. You can't live a positive life with a negative mind. Repetition builds belief. Your habits shape your identity. Your associations magnify your mindset. You attract what you consistently dwell on, and your focus should be on becoming, not just having. Now, it all comes down to this one decision. Will you be the master of your mind, or will you continue being mastered by it? Because if you don't direct it, the world will. If you don't filter it, fear will. If you don't train it, your past will. And if you don't fill it, it will be filled for you. Let me challenge you right here and right now. Don't just be a consumer of good ideas. Be a builder of them. Be a student of growth. Be a leader of your own life. Start guarding your input. Start declaring your vision. Start thinking like the person you intend to become. Not someday, but today. Because when you master your mind, you stop reacting, you start creating. You stop living from emotion, and you start leading from purpose. You don't just change how you feel, you change where you're going. And I'll tell you this, once you've mastered your mindset, there's no limit to what you can build, what you can become, and how many others you can lift along the way. So as we wrap up this journey, remember, you become what you think about. So think wisely, think intentionally, think powerfully, because your mind is either your greatest asset or your greatest liability. And the moment you choose to master it, you take back your life